Okay, I'm gonna have to start again. All right, so I'm gonna give you a little bit more of an update of what's going on with my own healing. It has to do with sexual abuse and all the horrors of that. And you know, every 2 weeks I get like some other kind of clearing or understanding of what's going on. So let me just start from the beginning, because I think the way it kind of like it logically works, it seems like a good place to start, right? So yeah, I'm full of life, I'm arriving, and bang, I get abused, right? All the potential that's there is just frozen. It's paralyzed, because once you're abused sexually, you build a contract. The child has built a contract with this adult, and so it's kind of, it becomes its slave, it becomes its submissive to it, and it keeps it covered. It just covers for him. So you become like, it's basically in cahoots with the predator, even though it's the father. She needs to survive. She knows nothing else. She's terrified, she's petrified, she's unarmed, she's vulnerable. She's energetically suddenly stuck there. Her soul disappears. That's why my soul just was in the back of a cave. But her energy and that kind of catastrophic and tragic condition is kind of frozen. So, but you have to survive. So out of that, you build an ego. Like, I built this person, like, ha hee hee ha, blah blah blah. But that itself too is limited. It's armor that's only protecting the predator and the child. Because if the child were to really understand what was going on, she would die. End of story. So this ego, it's very complex, and it's built around all sorts of stories, and it's always in distraction. Like, it cannot open up this room, because if it does, and it has to fully see the truth, it's going to die. Now, ultimately, we have to get in, and we have to reveal it all and be strong enough and not scared enough to see it. That's the most difficult thing, right? You don't really want to know. None of us, I never knew. I knew nothing. I had it so hidden away. So the truth of it, though, is that both the ego, which is a structure built out of fear, like, I'm terrified, quick, balloon into an ego, construct a person that functions in the world, that's hiding the truth, but it's limited because, I mean, unless you're integrated, you're not really living the full potential of your life. At the end of the day, the father, the family, the predator is holding your child hostage, and she's agreed because she's terrified, and that's all she really knows, and she wants to survive. She thinks, because she's powerless, unarmed, alone, that this is the only way she's going to survive. And she's built now this armor to the world where it's like, I'm just going to go along with everything and whatever. They're both unloved. This is an act of unloving. I think the worst thing in the world is to be unloved, especially by the people that produced you. I mean, really? I never chose to come here. God Almighty, right? I come in and I'm just like kidnapped, right? Hoodwinked. So I'm going to talk to you about experience I had, which is, again, part of the healing process. I keep thinking, I've seen it all. Not so fast. Because it's a revelation in stages. It's a revelation. It's too much for you to really grasp the whole thing. I think, you know, the more I see it, the more it's like, oh my God, my whole life has been hell. I had all these stories. So it's the way that the eye has worked with me is like, I'm going to give you pieces of it so we can kind of thread you back together. We can reconstruct you, but I can only give you what I think you're capable of, you know, taking on. So rewind last week. Oh my God, I'm up for this job. I need to get this job. I need the money, blah, 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 whatever. You know, the usual kind of craziness around work. And now I'm getting really scared. And And it kind of reaches a boiling point where I'm just like, okay, I've got to surrender, because there's nothing I can do about this. It's not under my control. There are, you know, people involved, whatever, who are trying to help me, whatever. But at the end of the day, you know, we don't really have a lot of control. The universe is gonna, you know, take us where we need to go for whatever reason. I have no idea. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just saying, it led me to the point where I knew I had no real control over the situation. If I didn't let it go, whatever. So when it was really reaching that kind of critical, kind of boiling point of, oh my God, what the fuck am I gonna do? I'm like, I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna, like, you know, sit in ceremony and let it kind of, like, you know, blow out there. Famous last words. So I sit in ceremony and I have one of the most physically crazy, you know, kind of, like, literally, like, I don't know, just my whole body was being pushed and pulled. My whole kind of, like, chest was being opened, and there's really, like, tons of, like, kind of, I would call it savage, but it's not really savage. It's great. It's the Great Mother, but it's what's required. I felt like I was being ripped apart. And then, bing, out of the blue, two things. Men charging through my room. This is, again, an image, a vision. Men are charging through my room. And I used to have for about 2 years, I had this dream where they were looking to kill me. These men were like, they'd come into my room, and I was always hiding, you know, because I thought they were looking to kill me. And the next thing I see is my father. Oh, so I'm a little girl in a fetal position on a very big bed, which I had this vision about a week ago. I've got nothing on. I'm in this fetal position, must be 3 or 4. And the next vision I see is my father lying naked and me naked on top of him, around his dick. Absolutely revolting. I don't even know, you know, there's not even enough emotion for this, because it's just like, it's not even about anger anymore. It's more just like, just get this shit out of me and let the poison come out. And what she was showing me was the terror and the fear that you have of no control has nothing to do with what's going on right now. It has to do with that. It has to do with the unarmed, vulnerable, terrified, scared little toddler who's at the mercy of a monster. Piece of shit, piece of evil, whatever. Just, you know, I just see human beings as spirits, so this is just an evil human spirit, right? So what she was showing me was like, all the stuff that comes up is not necessarily about that thing. Yes, oh God, I gotta get work. But that terror shouldn't be used in that context, because it's just work. I'm not dying. As a child, I was dying. I had no control over the situation. And I'm going to talk about now how the ego is related to all of this. So what she tests is my ego, because the ego is a thing that needs to be dismantled. It's got the ego is a control freak, and like the trapped child, there's no love. So I have to trust and what she's doing is she's kind of taking off the training wheels and saying, okay, I'm taking off the ego. I'm going to get rid of it, and by getting rid of my ego, or by taking me to the zenith of terror or whatever, it allows me to see how the ego is protecting me from seeing what actually happened. And the person that was built out of the terror of a child, and it's not a person, it's kind of fragmented pieces of a construction. So the universe, or the I, or whatever, she's just saying, okay, we're dissolving the ego more and more. I'm going to let you go to the extreme of it. You're going to keep, and every time I hit, oh my God, about something that's going on, that fear because there's nowhere to go. I can't distract. I can only sit. That fear will then pull up another piece from the bottom of the ocean of shit that needs to be seen and integrated. So I get it. We have to dissolve this thing that we built, who we are, more and more and more, till we get to see what's really negotiating and building everything. And she is demanding to be loved, because she's not going anywhere, and she's going to hold on to that contract until you show up and give her enough power and confidence to let her release the contract with the predator. And that contract has all sorts of pernicious stuff: guilt, fear, terror. I mean, it's all rooted there. It's actually all there. And so there's one layer that you've got to get through, which is you as you are now, and your life, and how you're distracting, and kind of dissolving that and taking responsibility for everything, because everything you are manifesting. And once those pieces, like a boat, it's like an old boat, you're going to take it apart like an old machine. Once you begin to take that machine apart, she becomes clearer and clearer, and you see the truth of who you really are and where you're trapped, and where the kind of breaker switch of life was switched off. And it's almost like these two things, this is dissolving, and then she's coming closer and closer to you. You are integrating her, and you're accepting who she is, because all you've ever done, or I certainly have done, has been run away from her. I have dismissed her, refused her, not willingly, abandoned her. I have done everything that the predator did to her. I did it. First of all, I didn't know, I don't remember anything happening at all. Secondly, it was built out of terror and fear in a powerless situation. And thirdly, in order for it all to be dismantled, I have to return and accept what happened. It is beyond disgusting. I hope to God I don't see more shit. I'm sure I will. It is beyond revolting, but it's who I am. And that embrace of her, and that willingness to love her, it wasn't her fault. In all her truth, which is this terrified, wounded, abused little girl. That is my truth. Not all of it, but a large part of it. And my whole life has been an attempt to refuse it. Again, done out of survival. I don't bear any blame, quite the opposite. Tons of compassion for all of our incredible courage to survive this perilous, treacherous arrival, because it is treacherous. And so, again, the journey back is a dissolution of the ego that doesn't want to have you have access to her, accepting and surrendering that I'm going to have to let go of this stuff, and coming to terms with the truth of what actually happened, which are, oh my God, you know, prodded by a dick. I mean, had a dick in your mouth. A dick in your mouth. I mean, God knows the revolting stuff that, I mean, some pretty awful stuff that I've talked about, and accepting that that's okay, and that I'm going to love my little girl more than anything, because she's me. That's not someone, that is me. That's the thing that I have to heal by integrating her and allowing her to release her from the bondage of evil. It's evil that has her seduced. It's evil that has conned her, that's played her. And when it all comes together, when the dissolution of the ego and the truth of little girl come together, then there's love. And there's love because you have finally accepted her and you love her. And you've always loved her. And one thing the predator is not capable of, which is why he's a predator, is love. And so it's a really kind of relearning